It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
The absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com.
How now? Can you guys hear me now? I think you can. My mic is not working correctly. Let me try one more thing. Guys. I apologize. We did some testing and it looks like it didn't work. Can you still hear me now? Alright, here we go. It's Tuesday. It's the pre-party. And I haven't been able to say that in a long time because we have a new episode of NWA Power tonight. And we haven't been able to say that in such a long time. Since May the 21st. Woo! And guys, I'm so jacked up right now. I'm so pumped up. You don't understand that we've been waiting for this moment. We've been waiting this moment for well over a year. We knew in January 26th, there would be no more tapings. Well, we didn't know then. We would find out later in March when they canceled the Crockett Cup. They canceled all the television tapings associated with that. We didn't get any NWA for an entire year. Now, yeah, we got Shockwave, and that's fun, and that's great, and I loved it, but that wasn't NWA. That was United Wrestling Network. But tonight we have the return of what made the NWA famous in the modern era. We get NWA Power. 212,000 subscribers on YouTube helped create this cultural phenomenon in the world of professional wrestling, and we will see that now translated in not on YouTube, but on Fight TV. You have to subscribe. You have to pay to play, but for $4.99 a month, I don't know, man. That sounds okay to me, and I'm excited. I'm excited because we're going to get this new litany of the NWA. We've got a new champions, new faces, new everything. And it's exciting. It's exciting because we've got the NWA, and it's back. It's finally back. The pay-per-view went off without a hitch on Sunday night. We saw some new faces there. What did you guys think of the pay-per-view? We're going to talk to you guys here on the messages, or whichever side of you are on. We're going to talk about the show. We're going to read your messages. We're going to get into it. First and foremost, my name is JCal, and this is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. You can find us on all social media at the Alliance blog. And thank you for Wrestling with the MMA to share our nice little video here with their viewers on Twitch. That's really cool of you. Thank you, Wrestling with MMA. And this is the pre-party, like I said. We're all jacked up about it. If you're a fan of the National Wrestling Alliance, this is where you want to be. With that being said, I'd like to take 1 minute just to wish my daughter Claire, who is probably my biggest fan, a very happy 8th birthday. She's in class right now, otherwise she'd be joining us here and now. With that being said, let's talk about some of these faces and names that are going to be new to the program. Now, we know that from at the pay-per-view, we got, the press releases. We saw Tyrus, which was great. Love seeing new faces in the NWA. I did not love Tyrus, and I'll get more to that in a minute. We saw Chris Adonis. Chris Adonis back in the ring, working for the NWA, challenging Trevor Murdoch. It was good to see Chris Adonis in the ring. It was cool to see guys like Slice Boogie and Jordan Clearwater make their mark in an NWA pay-per-view. Slice Boogie with a huge upset with that victory over Jordan Clearwater, over the War Kings. An amazing time to be a fan of the NWA. Real quick, I want to say hi to all my friends who have joined us here today. All you guys are checking us out. Sweet Vanilla, Lamb, Dave, Scooby, Jimmy in the LB, Sean Mega, Dalen Knight. Welcome to the show, Dalen. I don't know if you've been here before, but welcome. It's good to see you. Terry McDermott's here. Sean Mega's in the house. Lamb doing double duty, Wrestling with the MMA. The Pro Wrestling Zone podcast. All you guys, I appreciate you being here. Jason Newsom, The Nation Show. The Nation Show. You guys, if you didn't check it out yet, I got to do a little bit with The Nation Show over the weekend. It's available on their YouTube channel. You can see me talking about my favorite toppings on pizza, none of which happen to be pineapple. But getting back to NWA Power, guys, we've waited such a long time for this, and it's guys like Gary Horn and Dr. Rob Stinson and Will, and we've all been preaching the same thing, that the NWA would be coming back. It never entered my mind that they wouldn't be returning, and it's finally here. Off the back of the pay-per-view, what a good night for wrestling, and what a great way to honor the memory and the legacy of Joseph Hudson. It was great to see. The emotional pour out after the match, where everyone came out there and did the hook'em horns. Am I doing that right? Yeah, whatever. To honor the legacy of Josephus, I thought that was really cool. The great Sean said it was a great main event. I was very happy with the match. In the moment, I was very disappointed the way it finished, but in retrospect, as I sat there and digested it and watched it a second time, it really was the best way for that match to end. But let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the Four Corners match, right? We had the War Kings, Jax Dane, and Crimson in an odd position where normally they are wrestling against other tag teams. They were actually in the match against each other, as well as Jordan Clearwater, the Golden Boy, and also Slice Boogie, who shocked the world by winning the whole damn thing, and that surprised me. Now I've spoken very highly of Slice Boogie. I've said numerous times that he was the 2019 SoCal Uncensored Rookie of the Year winner. He came from the same wrestling school that's brought us Brody King and Tyler Bateman from from Ring of Honor, Jake Atlas from the WWE and NXT, Heather Monroe, Ruby Reyes, and a plethora of other talents that are all over the United Wrestling Network. And again, Slice Boogie is the most recent standout from Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy. So it's really cool to see someone from my own backyard make such a big debut for the NWA. And, winning a match like that, I think really signifies something that the National Wrestling Alliance sees a lot of potential in Slice Boogie. So what happens next for him? I mean, the sky's the limit, right? The whole NWA roster looks and feels different from last year. And there's opportunities for guys who are known in one area to blow up overnight. We've mentioned this before. Ricky Starks was a hot commodity in the Southwest region. In Texas, he was a big name, but across the United States, he was a veritable unknown. It wasn't until he stepped into the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios and proved his mettle in the NWA that he became a hot commodity, a hot free agent, and was signed by AEW to be part of Team Taz, no less. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see all of this taking place, and I'm excited, guys. But that match, I think, was really good. A lot better than I thought it would be. In fact, I mentioned on the pre-show, I mentioned during the match, this was a booking that I didn't quite understand. But we're certainly talking about Slice Boogie now as he's been elevated from this match. What's next for him, we don't know. I'm going to read some of your comments. You guys are all wishing my girl a happy birthday, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I am shocked by how many bouquet of flowers have already come to my home for this 8-year-old girl. She is going to put me in a lot more gray hair. I mean, I've already got some, but it's coming in. Dalen says he's not always able to catch, but you catch up later. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for being here. It's good to finally have you be a part of the show. The next matchup that was on the pay-per-view was what was the order? Now I don't have the order in my mind. I know we had the television title match. That was my match of the night. No doubt about it. The TV title stole the show. And by all rights, it should have, because it featured the two prominent stars of NWA Power, not named Nick Aldous. And I'm talking about the TV champion in Elijah Burke, the Pope, taking on Tom Latimer. Now that match, on paper, you knew it was going to be good. I think it was even better. It delivered. Tom Latimer is a guy who's quite potentially the total package. He's got the look. He's got the skill set. He's aggressive in the ring. He's well versed in the ring. I mean, his promos aren't my favorite, but he's very, very animated. And he's a character. He's got a gimmick. When you see Tom Latimer, you walk the other way because you know that guy means business. And he's taking on the Pope, who I honestly believe the Pope was completely underutilized while in the National Wrestling Alliance in the first 2 seasons. And we're seeing a breakout come through right now. We're seeing a star in the making. Now, keep in mind, he did this before. He was in the WWE. He was Vince McMahon's handpicked prodigy, the future of the WWE, before things went awry. And we've talked about this on the podcast oftentimes, that in this season of NWA Power, they were looking for the talents who had been disregarded by the WWE, who had been given an opportunity, but for whatever reason didn't pan out. And this is, to the T, a perfect example of one of these guys. Elijah Burke could be the next NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Believe that. Believe that, because this man he's well versed on the mic. He's great in the ring. What more could you ask for? He's got a great look. He's unique. He brings something different to the NWA, something that's not matched by anyone else. So I'm excited to see what he's got next in the tank, what's going to come down the pipe for him. But that match was great. Latimer really did take it to him at the end of the match. Both men looked good because we didn't get a clear-cut victor. So nothing bad happened for Latimer. He still looks like a champ, or not a champ, excuse me. He doesn't have a title. But he still looks like a perfectly legitimate contender to any of the belts, including Nick Aldous. But the Pope, you got to beat the champ to win the title so that he retains, and he doesn't lose anything either because he didn't lose. And when you're champion, the only way you lose the belt is by submission or pinfall. That's it. You can't lose it on a disqualification, you can't lose it on a countout, and you can't lose it in a time limit draw. It always favors the champ. However, that wasn't a step forward in that best of 7 to get to the next level, to get to Nick Aldis. So we'll see how that continues to play out. But it was hell of an exciting match. Probably my favorite of the night, and I'm very happy to talk about it. I'm seeing some of you guys' comments. Sean reminded me Kratos versus Tyrus was next. I really wanted to just forget about that match, but we'll get to that in a second. Dave Scooby says, Slice Boogie can go after the TV title or have Pablo Esco join him for some tag team action. In a promotion that is, look, I cut myself off there. We don't know what the tag team division looks like. Tonight we're going to get our first look at what's the future for the NWA. Now, we got a hint, we got a taste of it at Back for the Attack, but we really won't know what the NWA is all about until these episodes start playing out. And as we know, there's so many names. I mean, I've got a list of names of people who could be showing up on the show tonight or over the next few weeks. We just don't know. And one of the interesting things about these shows is there's no fans in attendance. Well, I mean, there's some, but this isn't open to the public. So the spoilers will probably not get out, because I imagine that those who are in attendance, if they leak it, will probably not be invited back to the show. So I think there's a lot of safety that when you watch this, you're not going to really know what's going to happen, which there's a lot of benefit to that, right? Because how much of Power was spoiled by dirt sheets or people who were posting stuff. We're not going to get the spoilers. We're going to have fresh eyes on this product. So it sounds really good. Jason Newsom said, why did he have the wrong belt? So I don't know for sure if that is the actual NWA property. Initially, the title that they used on the first season of Power, After Hard Times, that belt was not the NWA's. It was somebody else's that was on loan. And then, of course, for the pay-per-view, for Primetime Live, the belt that he won, he being the Pope, that was also somebody else's title. It was borrowed. Neither one of those belts belonged to the NWA. So I don't know if they actually had their own belt created or if they're back to using someone else's title. But yeah, if it doesn't have the red back leather, to me, it's just not the same. Okay. Sean Mega said he was a prodigy in TNA. I think in TNA he did mostly announcing, wasn't it? Willie, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Wrestling with MMA says, I'll take the Pope as champ over Aldous any day. You and I might be on the same page there, Wrestling with MMA. Willie Bowen says, Tyrus is a bum. Terry McDermott says, Tyrus and Kratos was a bathroom break kind of match. I mean, let's get into it, right? You're not far off of it. I know that on paper, when you talk about a man who's 6'7", 375 pounds, you're thinking you're getting this great investment. But I watched the laws of physics be defied on Sunday at that pay-per-view, because I saw Kratos kick that man and see Tyrus literally fall in slow motion. And I don't know how you can fall in slow motion. I don't know what they were thinking with bringing Tyrus into this. It doesn't look like his heart is in it. It doesn't look like he cares. Now, hopefully they can prove me wrong. Maybe Tyrus will tonight come out and have a wonderful match and be put in a position where he looks amazing. But I saw Andre the Giant walking with crutches, looking more graceful than Tyrus did in that ring on Sunday. Make no doubt about it, I am not a Tyrus fan. I don't know why they brought him in. I'd rather see Kratos wrestle Slice Boogie in a nice little blood sport style match than what we saw on Sunday. I think I was pretty clear. I'm not a Tyrus guy. It's god awful. And that's your hot take by J Cal. Let's see more of your comments. Jimmy in the LB says, hell yeah, I could get behind Pope taking the 10 pounds of gold. Aaron Stevens too. I was a bit disappointed when he didn't take the title. We'll get to that momentarily. That was a great match. I think the outcome had some people happy, some people were disappointed, but we'll get to that in a minute. Woodland Goblins in the house. Dodie, my good friend Dodie. I'm glad you're joining us, Dodie. It makes my heart happy that you're here. No matter how garbage Kratos Tyrus match is, a storyline, he sees a storyline behind it, and if the NWA really wants to capitalize on it. I mean, you're right, Dodie, you're absolutely right. There's a way to turn this into money. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all that's really important. Because nobody, pay-per-views are bought and paid for by storytelling. Let's be honest. Hogan versus Piper, Flair and the Horsemen versus Sting or Lex Luger or Dusty Rhodes. The storyline is going to build to what we want to watch. Now, preferably the match is good with a good, compelling storyline. But if they don't match up, it's a fool's effort. Willie Bowen says, Pope would be the great NWA World Champion. Absolutely. Dodie says, or they rather boot Tyrus and everyone happy. I mean, look, it could really go either way, but I know that this was a Billy Corgan choice, much like JR Kratos. Remember, Billy Corgan picked JR Kratos to be Aaron Stevens' tag team partner, and he picked Tyrus to be in the ring. And let's not forget, William Patrick Corgan booked most of the first 2 seasons of NWA Power. So with that in mind, the things that we loved about NWA Power, he gets credit for. And the things that we hated about NWA Power, he gets the blame for. He's the owner, he's the booker. It stops with him. Lamb says, don't post it on Discord before the NWA fam attacks for you not being loyal to Aldous. And it's funny, and I'm sorry that Carnivore's not in with us right now, but I get reamed for being anti-Aldous, which isn't the case. I think Aldous is a hell of a talent. I think he's a great wrestler. I've seen him live. I mean, I went to China, for crying out loud, to watch him defend the 10 pounds of gold against Colt Boom Boom Cabana. I think very highly of the world's heavyweight champion. I even bought his damn action figure. But I think that the NWA deserves something fresh. I think the NWA deserves some new storylines and new ways of presenting itself. And I think Nick Aldis, the heel, is becoming boring. I think Nick Aldis, the babyface, would be an extra nice perk to have. And the reason where I'm coming from is this. Dusty Rhodes never presented himself as a... Let me start over. The NWA, when Dusty Rhodes was around, never really presented himself as a heel. He was always the good guy. In the days when he was battling for the 10 pounds of gold, excuse me. And when he cut a promo talking about hard times, putting over the NWA, putting over the fans, you could get behind it because he was a babyface. What's very curious to me, and it's not crazy, but it's just curious to me, is Nick Aldis, for all intents and purposes, is a heel. When he's in the ring, he does heel stuff. Sometimes he'll have Camille cheat for him. Sometimes he'll have Strictly Business cheat for him. So he presents himself as a heel, but then he cuts these babyface promos, like over-the-top babyface. And this is the NWA. I mean, he even puts that southern draw on the W because he's trying to pander to a fan base. And I get it because it sells tickets and it gets people pumped up. But at the same time, I question why, in terms of storytelling, is your top heel trying to cut babyface promos. It's a little confusing to the audience, and there was so much gray area on the first season of NWA Power. We didn't know if Eli Drake was heel, we didn't know if Nick Aldis was heel, we didn't know if James Storm was heel, and everything kind of kind of came to formation. It took a while to get there, but even still, as strictly business, you still had Nick Aldis trying to cut babyface promos. He's a great promo guy, don't get me wrong, and he'll sell me on a match almost every time, but I don't understand why they just don't send him babyface. He could feud with Aaron Stevens, who's a heel. He could feud with Tom Latimer, who's a heel. I think it would freshen things up to see a face Nick Aldis. That's just me. Wrestling with MMA says, Lamb, they know how I feel about their beloved Strictly Resistance. Lamb says, good for you. Somebody gets attacked every time we want someone else as world champion, right, Jay? See, Lamb, yeah, absolutely. I get it all the time. Power had 3 seasons. I thought we were on season 3. I guess I was mistaken. I guess each pay-per-view separated it. That would make sense. Season 1, season 2. Okay, you're right. Thank you, DKM. I appreciate that. Willie Bowen says, Nick Aldis is the only legitimate world heavyweight wrestling champion. There's something to that. Dave Scooby says, Aldis just needs some credible opponents, some names that can have a great match. And you're right, brother. You're right. The NWA, one of the cool things about the NWA is that it has this ever-revolving carousel of talent that can come and go as they please. The negative of that is they have this ever-revolving carousel of talent that's coming and going as they please. We don't have a set roster per se. There's some guys that are stuck that we'll see week in and week out, but like, you know, I constantly hear people talk about Davey Boy Smith Jr. or Curtis Axel or guys of that nature who, you know, had some time in the WWE but never really materialized, or guys who are free agents or not signed with anyone exclusively. And hell yeah, I want to see Davey Boy Smith Jr. in the NWA. But if he comes, it's only going to be short term. It's going to be a program. It's going to be a season. It's going to be a pay-per-view. And then he's going to be gone. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it's not indicative of what most wrestling promotions do these days. Jimmy Nielby says they could full face turn Aldis with a feud with Latimer, and if they don't intend a Pope-Latimer feud. I mean, they could do that too. Bologna says, hey man, is there any way to watch NWA Power without fight? Will NWA post highlights on YouTube? Bologna Sandwich, I don't know. There hasn't been any in direct conversation about that just yet. And there's 212,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, and I know that's dropping daily. The NWA signed an exclusive deal to have Power on Fight, but that doesn't mean that, as far as I know, that 10 Pounds of Gold or Shockwave have become exclusive to Fight as well. So there's also Circled Square. There's other media, other programs that the NWA was developing pre-COVID that leads me to believe that maybe they still have ideas for the YouTube channel. But again, none of that has been come to fruition yet. Next up, let's talk about the NWA. We talked about Tyrus versus Kratos. Let's talk about the National Championship. Trevor Murdoch defending against Chris Adonis. Now, this was this match didn't speak to me the way that it spoke to others. A lot of people, DKM here in the chat room said, hey, this was a great match. It did exactly what it needed to. The one thing that I loved about this match was how it didn't end with a handshake and a hug. They didn't become best friends after this match. Adonis was pissed, and Adonis went and took Trevor Murdoch to task after the match and beat him down. And that's how a good way to set up these rivalries. One thing that Pope and Latimer had was a little bit of respect for each other after that match. And although Latimer didn't go in there and shake Pope's hand, he didn't attack him either. This match was different. Adonis, I keep wanting to call him Masters. If you see the hesitation, it's because I want to call him Masters. Adonis went in there and beat down Murdoch because he felt like he should have won that match. I think that's good storytelling, and that's a good opening into the future, what we'll see with Adonis, what we'll see with Murdoch. I think it's a great way to set up what's coming next for Power. We're about 27 minutes away from Power. If you guys, wow. 27 minutes away. That almost stopped me because how long has it been? It's well over a year. It's great, man. Willie Bowen says Nick Aldis versus Charlie Haas would be a great match for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't disagree with that. I just think that Charlie Haas is focused on Southwest Entertainment, and Southwest Wrestling Entertainment is really kind of doing some big things. I mean, they're bringing in some decent names. They just brought in Big Cass over the weekend. They had Melina managing them. I know they recently lost Tim Storm, but it seems like that roster is growing, and it's right now they've done more in the last year than the NWA has. So, I mean, I don't know if you'll see a continued working relationship. We know that Trevor Murdoch will be back with SWE, I think, next month. So we'll see how that ends up going. Bologna sandwich. No, I won't be doing that today. The live reactions, maybe in the future, but I think we're gonna save that just for the pay-per-views. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. What we will do, Bologna sandwich, is we're gonna be talking about that the NWA Power on Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern. Is it 10 o'clock? 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, I think, is what we're shooting for. Stay tuned to our Twitter, social media. We'll post it. We'll let you know about it. But I think that's what we're going to do. Scooby says Adonis needs new gear. He was wearing his old Masterpiece gear. No kidding. No kidding. Dalen says, given the response to Tyrus, what do you think the response to a Marty Scurll comeback would be? This is for Jimmy. There you go, Jimmy. I think Marty Scurll right now is still too toxic and too hot to put anywhere. I think he needs to keep his nose to the ground, and if he's going to try to continue with wrestling in his career, he needs to stay away from the United States. He needs to stay away from the big time promotions and just put in the work. It's kind of funny, like here in the United States, the way it goes is if you ask for forgiveness, more often than not, you get it. If you try to parade around and saying that you weren't guilty, or you start filing lawsuits, that's when people begin wanting to cancel you. I know that Marty was scheduled to be a part of New Japan USA, and when news broke that that was happening, there was a lot of outrage, and they ended up canceling those plans. So I don't know what's going to happen next for Marty. I know he got paid handsomely for his deal with Ring of Honor, and I believe he's out of contract, but I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't think an NWA return is going to come to fruition just because he's so nuclear right now, and or a brand that's trying to get back to it, who had its own problems with the speaking out movement. I don't think they're going to bring somebody in that is going to bring that kind of attention to the NWA. They can't afford it. We're talking about them coming off a 1-year hiatus, and anything that's going to deter from the fact that they're back and promoting live events and live shows and good quality wrestling is going to be a distraction that they don't need right now. And at least if I am working their PR, which I'm not, but if I'm involved, I say, no, guys, no, not now. Maybe down the road, give it some time. It's a funny thing because what he did was not considered illegal in his country, but it certainly is icky. And he's going to represent your company. You don't really want icky representing your company. Yeah, Doty mentions that Melina is confirmed to be coming back. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I have a few names that I think we're all going to be interested to hear about. Really, real quick, Jay, do you think that Billy Corgan would sign Austin Aries to wrestle on NWA Power? Again, there's guys out there who just seem to want to watch chaos. A guy like Austin Aries has never been... His problems have never stemmed from inside the ring. He's very talented. He can cut a great promo. I mean, Impact at one point put all their belts on him. He was the first belt collector. But I just feel like a guy like Austin Aries is becoming too toxic for American wrestling. His anti-mask stuff might fly in other parts of the world, but in the U.S., I just think it's too toxic, and I don't think it's a good fit for the NWA. The NWA doesn't want to bring people in that's going to cause a distraction. So I would say no to Marty Scurll. I would say no to Aldous, or not, excuse me, Aldous. No to Aries. I would say no to Joey Ryan for sure. And anybody of that same kind of clout if those rain clouds are hanging over you, I think maybe pump the brakes. I mean, look how much blowback they got with Tyrus. And as far as I know, Tyrus has been acquitted of any of those charges, or at the very least, and I'm speaking out of terms because I didn't really follow it, so let me pull that back. As far as I know, his lawsuit was thrown out. As far as I know, that I could be wrong. I'm telling you right now, I'm not speaking from somebody who's following the lawsuit, but from what I understand, the lawsuit was thrown out. So let's move on. So the next matchup, again, we were talking about after the national title, we had the women's #1 contenders match. Now, if you guys, I heard a lot of people get very, very upset that the best wrestler in the world lost. I've heard a lot of people say that Thunder Rosa should have gone over. Look at everything she's done in the last year. Look at everything she's done in the last few months. Hell, she was wrestling last Saturday night at Mission Pro. She on Tuesday night on Wednesday night she was wrestling AEW, and she put Britt Baker through hell, and made her bloody and really messed her up. And you're right. Thunder Rosa is a phenomenal wrestler. She's a superstar. She is the greatest wrestler right now. I mean, promos, energy in the ring, the attitude, the spunk, the fire, her moveset. I mean, she is a phenomenal wrestler. But the Universal Soldier, Camille, the Brick House, this was her coming out party. She hasn't had a lot of matches in the NWA, and a victory over Thunder Rosa very much solidifies her as a threat, as a perennial challenge to Serena Deeb and that Burke title. And so, although I love Thunder Rosa and would love to see Thunder Rosa get that title back much, much sooner than later, the NWA does have to build up its stars. It has to build up its talents. It can't just be the Thunder Rosa show. And one of the drawbacks of the first 3 seasons, DKM, of NWA Power is that as soon as Thunder Rosa stepped onto the scene, nobody was paying attention to Allison Kay. Nobody cared about Marty Bell. Nobody cared about Tasha Steelz. That was all far below our radar. We just wanted to see Thunder Rosa, and we wanted to see her with the Burke, and it didn't matter against who. So, again, I see why Camille went over. I understand the booking behind it, and I think it sets up the NWA with another viable woman of another viable challenge. Now, I don't believe Camille is the most smoothest in the ring, and I think she's gotten leaps and bounds better, but she still has lots of room for improvement. But this match certainly sets her up in a position, hey, now she can challenge Serena Deeb and take that title, and a victory over Serena Deeb is meaningful, whether it be in an AEW ring or an NWA ring. And if you're telling me down the road we're talking about a Thunder Rosa versus Camille feud, I mean, they showed me Sunday night that that's a very interesting match. The only caveat, the only problem with such a great match is next time they better get a referee who knows what the hell that they're doing. Because if I see one more guy standing out there and not counting when 2 people are fighting on the outside, look, I know this is nerd culture and this is wrestling, but for crying out loud, the referee wasn't even counting. He didn't even count while they're fighting outside. There was no effort to break the count. It took me out of the match. And in a sport where we're supposed to supersede and allow our thoughts and just enjoy the product and just kind of ignore the reality of it, if you're not playing along, you're hurting the product. The referee wasn't even counting. And to me, that was just awful. It just ruined the story. Sean, you say nitpicking, but it took me out of it. If you guys watched the watch along, I was pissed. Lamb was with me. We were pissed. It ruined the match. I mean, it didn't ruin it because, again, it was still a really good match, but it really took away from the match. And I shouldn't have been distracted by the referee not counting. Let's see. Sean says, booking-wise, Camille makes sense to win. I agree. Willie Bowen says he praised that Watt sign with NWA Power. I mean, look, anything is possible. The interesting thing that I see about the roster from the NWA is a lot of the talents don't live locally in Atlanta. There's a lot of guys. Adonis, right? Sliced Boogie, Jordan Clearwater. I saw a few of the other names. Tyrus, I believe they all live in Los Angeles or around Southern California. So they're paying these guys to fly across country to wrestle for their show. So, I mean, that's an added expense. So if you bring in Watts, you're also booking a flight every pay-per-view and every TV taping. So that could be pretty expensive. I don't know if that's something that they plan on doing. Dalen says he hopes they work with Thunder Rosa's schedule into the storylines as well as to why she lost. I mean, I think that's a given. If you were watching the pay-per-view, I mean, they talked about the match with Britt Baker. They really didn't get into the match the night before with MPW, but I think it was pretty self-evident that they talked about how much Thunder Rosa has been active and stuff like that. So, and that brings us to the main event. That brings us to Nick Aldous, the national treasure, the dealer, right? The real world's champion, the man who carries the 10 pounds of gold, the guy who has a bullseye on his back because everyone in the business is looking for that 10 pounds of gold. And we got a great match. I wasn't happy with the end result. I like Aaron Stevens. I wanted to see Aaron Stevens leave Sunday night with the 10 pounds of gold. And a lot of people have told me, no, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. But that match, you saw a different Aaron Stevens. You saw a guy who was more intense, more crafty, more resourceful, and he really did. Like he was really putting the boots to Aldous. I mean, he connected with 2 roaring elbows, and I just, oh man, it was so good. It was so much fun, and it was so, I don't know. I think this is the way to go. I hope this is the Aaron Stevens we continue to get, and I really think that. I really like the energy he brought into the match. Aldous is Nick Aldous. It's kind of hard to say anything negative about a man who took that title to 4 different continents, right? It's hard to say anything negative about a man whose only loss was redeemed against Cody Rhodes. It's hard to say anything negative about a guy who's done the damn thing for almost 900 days now. Nick Aldous is the best promo in the business right now. Nick Aldous is one of the top wrestlers in the NWA. Nick Aldous could really be slotted in any wrestling promotion anywhere in the world and still be a draw. With that being said, I still would like to see a different Nick Aldous. I'd like to see a different look. I'd like to see him have an opportunity to go a different direction. And putting the belt on Stevens would have afforded him that opportunity. So, I mean, that was back for the attack. Again, you could still watch the replay on Fight if you subscribe to Fight TV. I saw that you guys already answered Bologna Sandwich's question, but for $4.99, you get access to all the episodes of NWA Power and some select pay-per-views. Right now, the current pay-per-views I see that they're offering are Hard Times and Into the Fire, but I believe that those will be changing. And of course, the pay-per-view or the subscription service is also supposed to support 3 new episodes of Power every week. So we don't know exactly how that's going to play out. I don't know what they're going to do for the other the 4th Tuesday of every month or 5th when that happens, but we'll see how that plays out as it goes. Willie Bowen mentions Doug Williams would be a great opponent for Nick Aldis. Let me do you one better. Doug Williams would be a great tag team partner for Nick Aldis if they chose to put him in a tag team division, something the NWA desperately needs. I was having a conversation with both Kevin Frazier and DKM about the NWA, and one thing we all agree upon is that the roster is lacking. Now, again, tonight, all of our questions might be answered tonight, or we might get hints at what the future is, but we need at least 4 or 5 decent competitors for the 10 pounds of gold. We need at least 4 or 5 decent tag teams. We need at least 4 or 5 different challengers all across the board for every title, for every division. So, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's going on. We've got Dave Scooby with late breaking news. Genocide from MPW is at the NWA tapings, and he'd love to see her and Camille go at it. Absolutely. Woodland Goblin says he turned on Fight TV and told his wife that NWA Power is coming on first time in a year, and she's like, "Did you have to pay for this?" And I said, "No." Woodland Goblin, you didn't have to pay for nothing, brother. Yeah, Terry, we might get surprises. I know some of the things that I've read and seen, of course, Gary Horn and Dr. Robert Stinson are there. I mean, they've been a part of the pay-per-view and the TV tapings. They've been behind the scenes. They let some stuff slip out. I mean, we saw Taryn Chenille, who was from Impact. She showed up on the pay-per-view. looking at to see if she can maybe get a match with whoever won between Thunder Rosa and Camille. We know Tim Storm just isn't going to be in the booth. I think that was just for the pay-per-view. I think he's set to return to the ring. We know that Alex Garcia is supposed to be on the show. We know for sure Matt Cross is going to be there. The news broke for me earlier today. Melina is going to be there. I know that Luke Hawk is there at the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios. I also know Damian Wayne. Yes, the former NWA National Champion Damian Wayne. The former NWA World Tag Team Champion Damian Wayne. The former North American Champion Damian Wayne. The man who was supposed to hold the 10 pounds of gold Damian Wayne is in attendance. Lamb says Tim is still on commentary. Okay. Well, I mean, I've heard that he's also wrestling, so we'll see how that plays out. Sean Mega points out Homicide is there. We saw him backstage. I don't know what his role with the company is. I don't know. Maybe he's an agent now. Maybe he's working and helping to produce the matches. I knew Doty would love the Damian Wayne comment. I knew that was coming. Doty, no, Power is still not live, but they're doing the tapings right now. So they did some post matches on Sunday. They recorded some matches on Monday. They're recording matches tonight, and they're going to be airing a new episode of Power. It's not going to be live. It's going to be taped, but the turnaround has been such a huge thing. Remember when they first taped the first episode of Power, taped on September 30th, and October 8th was the day that it first aired. This is not that. This is even less turnaround. So we'll see how well and how quickly this is going to happen. But guys, we're 10 minutes away for new NWA Power. And to me, that's exciting. To me, that's intense. You guys feel it? Like it's palpable. If you're ordering the pay-per-view tonight, again, $4.99 on Fight TV. Again, you could order it from your Google your Google Android device or your Apple device. You can watch it on your phone. You could get it online, fighttv.com, or is it just fight.tv? It's fight.tv. Excuse me, I misspoke. They're not paying me for sponsorship, so it's okay if I guess the name wrong. But it's really, really cool. And this is something that I'm very excited because I've been waiting for a whole year, just like you guys. And NWA Shockwave was great. I love seeing the champions defend those belts on Primetime Live. But this is NWA Power. This is the NWA. You know, this is what we've been waiting for. So make sure that you, if you are subscribed to Fight, get yourself loaded. Get yourself some popcorn, some sodas, some licorice, because you're going to be in for a doozy. Again, my name is Jay Cal. If this was the first time you watched this show, I hope you liked it. You could hit that subscribe button or follow or like or all that good stuff. I would appreciate it. This is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. Now, the website is currently down. We had some issues. It's going to be back. Don't worry. We're working on it. We're working on getting that going. And I hope you guys will make sure to make that a part of your browsing habits. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can check us out at the Alliance blog. And that's on TikTok, that's on Twitch, that's on Facebook, that's on YouTube, that's on Instagram, that's on Twitter, Tumblr, pretty much everywhere you can go to find social media, you can find us there. So we're going to end it a little bit early, guys. I know it's 8 minutes till the hour, but I want you all to have plenty of time to get ready. We're all excited. We're about 10 minutes away from NWA Power returning. And again, if you like what you're seeing here, click like, subscribe, leave a comment. That helps too. It helps YouTube distribute the product out there with the algorithm. The more you guys interact, the more other people will see it. So I greatly appreciate that. We will be back Thursday. We'll be back Thursday night, and I believe it's going to be 5 p.m. Pacific, which would make it 8 o'clock Eastern. But stay tuned to all of our social media accounts to get that confirmation. Of course, we'll be posting that on Facebook. We'll be posting that on Instagram, and we'll post it on Twitter. And, of course, guys like Lamb and Dave Scooby do a wonderful job of retweeting that and sharing that stuff out there. So, again, I'm very humbled by your guys' support. If you choose to do so, your eyeballs are all I ask for. But if you choose to support the site, you can buy this t-shirt. Just head to our merch section. I guess that's down right now. You can find us on Amazon at the Alliance blog, and you can check that out. But until next time, guys, be like water. Water flows or it could crash. Takes the shape of the bowl. Takes the shape of the ring. Be water, my friends. And that's a good night now.